I feel really dumb saying this. Someone that grew up in New London. Um, I guess I knew of the historic aspect of what New London was, but I never did the research. I didn't pay attention. So I did it today.
Okay.
um,
Crash course.
just a little bit of a crash course. I guess I didn't realize how like historic New London actually is. Like
Yeah.
it's like one of the most historic places in the country.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, from
Founded in 1646.
1646 by John Winthrop, who was originally named Pequot. So I'm not sure why. Do you know?
He was named Pequot?
Yeah, that was like his name. So all right. So here are the things. Founded
Never
in
heard of a white guy named Pequot.
originally named Pequot. John Winthrop Jr. was the son of John Winthrop, the first governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony.
Maybe the natives called him Pequot.
Maybe. John Winthrop Jr. Was an influential figure in early New England, known for his role founding several towns, including New London. He was also a noted scientist and alchemist. In 1646, he established the settlement that would later become New London, originally naming it Pequot, after the local Pequot tribe.
Oh,
the name was changed to New London in 1658, reflecting settlers' desire to create a new London in the New World. The home to the United States Coast Guard Academy, established in 1876. That's I never realized how long, like that. That's a long
I don't know.
time.
It was that far, that old. The academy.
That's crazy.
That's 8 years after the Civil War. I wonder if it was established any reason because
you said 80 years.
8 years.
8 years. Wasn't the Civil War in 1776?
No, that was a revolutionary.
That was a revolutionary
Civil War. Yeah.
The United States. So
I mean, I wonder if they created it. They decided to create one because since we were now unified again, we needed one Coast Guard to guard all our coasts.
Maybe.
From the Confederates, former Confederate to the Union. Maybe. I don't know.
Interesting.
Maybe something else I gotta look up.
Yeah, now I gotta look it up because we can talk about it on the show. Because again, the idea of what we're going to talk about it's not always going to be politics. We'll talk current events. We'll talk history. I'm looking at this as an opportunity to challenge myself to develop thought and learn more. That's why I wanted to do this with you, at this capacity. Why New London? So the United States Coast Guard Academy was originally founded in 1876 as the Revenue Cutter Service School of Instruction in New Bedford, Massachusetts. In 1910, the school moved to New London, where it has remained ever since. New London was chosen due to its strategic location along the Thames River, providing easy access to the Atlantic Ocean for training purposes. The academy has since become the center of officer education and training for the United States Coast Guard, emphasizing the city's long-standing maritime tradition.
Yeah, that's why there's a Navy base here.
Yeah.
Strategic for the submarines up the river.
It makes me love where we live and where we grew up much more. Like, again, stuff that I it's weird because there's a lot of things that I've learned over time. I was telling this to Claire, but I don't remember a lot from when I was younger. The stuff that I learned, especially when it comes to this
field trips and stuff like that.
Field trips, like I remember doing the Star Street, the Star Street strip walk there, Fort Trumbull. But
that was supposedly a strip where the rich whaling ship captains lived. That's why the houses are so nice.
They're beautiful, bro.
And they got renovated over time because of urban blight or whatever. But
that's a brick road, right? Like the road's the brick, right?
Yeah, brick or stone, but yeah,
love it. The Amistad incident again. That's another thing I forget. The Amistad. I mean,
you've seen that movie?
I have seen the movie. I feel like I remember that more than most movies, but I don't remember if that makes sense. So it's a vague memory of what it was.
So where they tugged the ship into was Custom House on Bank Street. Because the waterfront, obviously, that was built in 01 or whenever that was built. So the water came right up to Custom House, and then they took them upstate all the way to the courthouse. That's where they tried them, and then they moved it eventually to New Haven because that was a bigger court, I believe.
So now I feel like I gotta watch the Amistad.
You should watch the Amistad.
That's gonna be something I feel like I watch like one day while I'm working.
They have a replica of the Amistad.
It comes.
Yeah.
I
don't know where it's docked all the time, but
it's right there on the pier though. It's
right, but it's not there all year round.
No, it's usually when they do like their boat like series, like different boats kind of come in.
Right.
They're there for a couple of like days or whatever. So the Amistad incident was in 1839. The Amistad was a Spanish schooner on which groups of Africans who had been illegally sold into slavery led a revolt against their captors. The ship was eventually captured by the United States Navy vessel and brought to New London. The Africans were imprisoned and later tried for piracy and murder. The case became a landmark legal battle, ultimately leading to their freedom after the Supreme Court ruled in their favor. The Amistad incident was significant in the abolitionist movement, and highlighted the legal and moral battles surrounding slavery in the United States. Slavery is crazy to think. It is wild. I heard this today, and I probably knew this from before, but the first person who owned slaves was a black person.
I've heard that too.
Like,
I don't know his name or the
I
story
don't know his
behind
name
it,
either.
I don't know what that means though. Like the first person to own slave in America, meaning what? After 1776, we had America on the actual land that was now America.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know black people had slaves here. I just don't know what that means.
Right.
Right? Are they trying to say that to do what?
Right.
Dispel the whole white people are evil type of thing, or
Right.
I'm not even saying it's false. I'm just saying I wonder what that means exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Another one to table for future. Nathan Hale's connection. So I went to Nathan Hale. And actually now thinking the John Winthrop connection, the Nathan Hale connection, Winthrop Elementary School, where my wife works, Nathan Hale. I went to Nathan Hale. Wonder what the significance of Harbor School is, but it's probably something relevant there.
Yeah.
Maybe I wonder what the Jennings relevance is too, but Nathan Hale connection. Nathan Hale was a young school teacher and patriot who served as a spy for the Continental Army during the American Revolution. Before his famous espionage mission, he taught at a schoolhouse in New London from 1774 to 1775. Man, just hearing these years, like it's just crazy to hear.
He was caught and he was hung by the British in Manhattan.
He was hung in Manhattan.
Yeah, he had the famous quote. Before he was hung, they said that before he was hung to death, he said, "The only regret is that I have but one life to give for my country."
I love that. Oh, there you go. Here you go. So, Hale's commitment to the cause of American independence is remembered for his famous last words: "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." Man,
imagine feeling so strongly for a cause that you said that before your death.
That's wild, yo. That is wild.
It's pretty amazing.
Before being executed by the British in 1776, the schoolhouse where he taught is now a historical site, preserving the legacy of one of Connecticut's most celebrated figures. It's not there anymore, though.
That's a Little Red House.
It's not. Is it still there?
In the plaza. I think it's still there.
In the plaza.
They moved it around a few times.
What plaza?
The Parade Plaza in front of the train station.
It's not there anymore.
It's not there?
That's been moved for
then I don't know where it was moved to.
That was there when we were kids. I don't think it's there anymore.
It was there when I was downtown 10 years ago on Main Street.
We'll have to look it up. I don't think it's there. Where the Whale Tail is?
Like the street behind it, it was behind that.
Oh, maybe it is still there. Oh, so where the garage is on the back end of that?
Correct.
Okay, maybe it is still there.
Yeah.
You know what I got to do? I'm going to do this sometime before the fall, the winter comes. Is I'm going to just go down there and just walk around. I don't appreciate. I want to say I don't appreciate, but like understanding the history. And again, history is different. Like how it Tom said it on PVD's podcast when they were arguing. Adam and Vinny were arguing about the whole stuff that's happening in the Middle East, and Adam had brought something up about, well, we'll look back, to this century, and Tom was like, listen, like it's not relevant. Like it's relevant, but it's not. Like, but I feel like this like going through would kind of give me more appreciation of one, where I'm from, two, understanding like how historic this location is. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go like just kind of take a roam through New London, specifically that downtown area, because that's mainly where the history is. Obviously, we have all the houses up Pequot, Ocean, stuff like that are, the 1700s. But
yeah, back 1600s, 1700s, New London was as big as, New Haven, as Boston, and because back then those cities were just their little downtowns, as big as ours, right? But their cities kept growing. Our cities was the whole southern New London County. I don't know if you knew that. It stretched from the Thames River to the Connecticut River, and then all the way to Stonington, Ledyard, Montville, and then Norwich was its own city. So all that used to be New London. So I think about
that used to all be New London.
Waterford, East Lyme, Montville.
I feel like I knew the Waterford piece. I didn't realize
Ledyard, Groton, and I think Stonington.
Wow.
Either way, it was those 5 towns. And I think about sometimes, what would this place be like if New London kept all that land, would we be as big as a Providence, as a Boston? What would the river look like? Would it be more developed? Would everything all be all urban as opposed to rural,
Wow.
like most of it is
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Right. The downtown that New London is now, right? That would have grown,
Yeah.
right? Maybe with more crossings across the river. We would have, we've been a major metro area,
Mhm.
right? But for whatever reason, those towns seceded, and New London gave them their land. And now what was left was a little strip of land along the river, and now we're just a little city on the
That's
up
crazy.
the river. Yeah.
Was it you
Now
that
this was like 200 years ago or
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
but that was all New London.
Yeah, it was you that was telling me that maybe it was you, the Fort Trumbull. There's Fort Trumbull, and then what's on the other side of the river?
Fort Griswold.
Fort Griswold.
Yeah.
Where was Fort Trumbull and Fort Griswold two different factions? Like was like
They were strategically put on those parts of the river to protect downtown London from the British that were during the Revolutionary War that were trying to burn London from the river. So you could see the mouth of the river from both forts.
Yeah.
So if you look at a map, Fort Trumbull is just south of downtown.
Yeah.
Fort Griswold is across the river from downtown.
Yeah.
So that they could bomb whatever ships are coming up the river before they hit downtown.
Is any of this in the George Washington documentary that you wanted me to watch?
Unfortunately, no. I was hoping it would be.
Damn.
Because I believe Benedict Arnold, who was the famous trader from Norwich, he's
from Norwich.
He's from Norwich. That's why NFA, and New London are such a big rivalry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the oldest one in the country, high school wise.
Holy.
But that adds another element to it.
Wow.
Because Benedict Arnold, being from Norwich, he was a loyalist, and then he was in the American Army. He fought I forgot what war in upstate New York. But then he traded over to the British side and led an army down to burn London. And the famous thing is that he burned the whole city down, but left the Hampstead House.
Wow.
And supposedly that war was fought as a distraction. And I think when that war was going on, I think George Washington took back Manhattan from Long Island. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on that one, but
that's incredible.
So that battle was fought in London when it was burning, and there's a Battle of Griswold, which happened on the fort across the river.
Bro, so again, there's a lot of museums in New London that like you can go to for free. I didn't know about. Like I got to do all this. Like I don't know. When it comes to history, I feel like I didn't care about it when I was younger, but I've grown to like wanting to like know this stuff. For what purpose? Mainly just for the thrill of like the development of where we are. Not more so like I don't have to like look at it. Oh well, history repeats itself, and obviously something like that won't happen again.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, like you said, we live in a very historical area.
Yeah.
If you go to downtown London now and you drive around the town, you see all the old architecture. In my house, where I grew up in, was built 100 years ago, and that's relatively new compared to some of the houses that were built in the 1800s.
Yeah. My old house was built in 1925. That brick house that I lived in Quaker Hill. So I'm wondering, like,
and me now living in South Florida, that's you don't hear that ever.
No.
Really.
What's the oldest house that you know of in South Florida?
I don't know. It's probably some old building that's been renovated in downtown Miami when it was founded in the late 1800s or so. But most of the buildings there are new, new houses, new developments and whatnot. So when you visit older cities like Savannah, like a Charleston, cities that were founded around the time of London was, when I went to Savannah, it reminded me a lot of New London, cobblestone streets, old architecture, really old buildings.
You like that stuff, don't you?
Yes, it's really, you could see the history, right? You could see it, you could experience it, you can go in the buildings. And New London has a lot of that. It's just obviously it's much smaller than other cities.
I feel like that when you go right downtown where the train station's so old. Like it still looks really old. Like it doesn't look like there was any renovations. Obviously the roof, slate roof and the brick building. And, I've seen a picture.
That was going to be torn down in the 70s.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I saw a picture of, here, let me get out of this. So this is, so that's Muddy Waters, the New Haven. Let's see.
The New Haven.
The bridge. Who's that? That's Rajay.
That's Rajay and Chris Dunn.
Oh, this is old.
That's when he was drafted.
That's a while ago, 2016. That's a good one. Where's this at? Eugene O'Neill.
London is like a New Haven's little brother.
Yeah, okay. So New Haven. There was a photo Oh, so look at this. 1923, New London. Wow.
Oh yeah, that's Shaw's Cove.
Where? Right here?
With the bridges.
Yeah.
That's New London.
Yeah,
If that's
so
if that's New London, then
that's got to be the bridge, which by the way, the bridge was a one-way bridge.
what bridge?
The Gold Star Bridge. That's not the Gold Star Bridge?
No, the bridge. See the in the back right, top right.
Back here?
That's the train bridge. That was the only crossing at the
Got
time.
it, got it. Okay.
Right, so that's downtown. If you go right there,
Okay. So this is the
and then
pier?
and then that right here, the little bridge you see in front, that's
here?
the bridge that crosses Shaw's Cove.
Ah, okay.
Right. So then that used to be.
Oh, and that's that building right downtown New London?
That's the Mohican Hotel.
Wow, look how
Yeah.
different it looks.
Yeah. I actually bought a book that was produced by Conn College, I think 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about the urban renewal of New London in the 70s, which it went from looking like that to them demolishing a good percentage of downtown to make room for all the roads.
Wow.
All the Governor Winthrop Drive, Eugene O'Neill Drive.
So is this the boatyard?
That looks like it was probably in the 20s?
20s, yeah, this is the 20s.
Yeah, because the Gold Star Bridge isn't even there.
Oh shoot, because that would go right here, right?
That will go right behind the train bridge. Yeah.
Wow. So how did people get to Groton? This right here, the train?
Probably a ferry. Probably have ferries back and forth.
Interesting. Man, that's crazy. It's crazy seeing that. Like, there's no development. There's nothing here. There's all trees. Like, there's not that many trees like up this way anymore.
Well, that's
So
most of the city is just that right there. I mean, everything else are probably a little rural, roads and a lot of the houses on them.
That's wild. So let's see if there's anything else on here that No, that's it. Who's this? Benedict Arnold. That's the guy.
Yeah, that's Benedict Arnold.
Crazy. So let me.
They had the Benedict Arnold burning every year in London.
Do they really?
Yeah, they make a straw man with a red coat, represents Benedict Arnold. It's like a British soldier, and they hang him and they burn it downtown.
Who?
On the plaza. I think it's every November. I think October or November.
That's crazy. You've been to one?
I haven't been to one.
No,
but I think it's called the burning of Benedict Arnold. Every year they do it.
That's crazy.
I kind of want to go this year.
Yeah. Listen, I'll go with you.
Yeah, we should go check it out.
All right, so we got a couple more here. All right, so New London whaling industry, which I knew. New London, obviously, the New London Whalers. That was the high school mascot. During the 19th century, New London was one of the largest whaling ports in the United States, second only to New Bedford, Massachusetts. The city's location made it an ideal base for whaling ships, which traveled as far as the Pacific Ocean in search of whales. The industry was crucial to the local economy, providing jobs and wealth to the region. Whaling declined with the advent of petroleum and the near extinction of certain whale species, but New London's maritime heritage is still evident today. So it's funny because I was going to ask that question. I'm like, wonder why? Like, what happened with the whaling? Because I think then they used the whaling was for the economy was oil, right? Oil. Mm-hmm. So they was again very embarrassed that I don't know this, but the oil was extracted from the whales.
Yeah, I think they would extract it and then they would like boil it and make the oil or something like that. It's a real nasty process.
Yeah.
They eliminated a lot of sperm whale colonies or whatever you call them in the Pacific and other parts of the Atlantic. It's crazy. They would go out there before the Panama Canal. So they'll go all the way south to tip of South America and go to the Pacific Ocean.
The whale
2-3 months to get there on a boat.
The whale painting is a sperm whale.
Which one? The one downtown.
Eugene O'Neill? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. That's crazy. That again, it just shows local economy, and this stuff just blows my mind. Actually, reading through, I didn't read through any of this, by the way, before talking.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't read through any of this.
Oh, okay.
So that's why my reactions are what they are, because I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot, or I just don't remember. Obviously, so we talked about Fort Trumbull.
It's funny. My sister has a friend. Friends had a boyfriend, and she called me one time randomly. I was in Miami, and she's like, David, who's the whaling city? I'm like, New London's the whaling city, but he's saying here that he's the whaling city, and I'm like, the only other place that would claim whaling city other than New London is New Bedford, and she was like, oh, he's from New Bedford.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. And it was funny because I ended up meeting this guy a couple months later, and we were talking about that history and how New Bedford and New London have basically the same history, right? It's a city that was built around the whaling industry and how they both fought for ships.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So historical significance. So this is Fort Trumbull. So 1777, Fort Trumbull. Fort Trumbull was constructed during the American Revolution to protect New London from British attacks. It was named after Governor Jonathan Trumbull, who was the staunch supporter of the revolutionary cause. Let me stop here because, again, part of why I want to do a spinoff show was to learn and to sound ignorant.
I'll do my best to be a teacher,
no,
but
no,
I'm
no,
no
no,
expert.
No, the Revolutionary War. What was that about? Do you remember? You know?
Yeah, of course, that
Yeah,
was 13 colonies rebelling against British tyranny.
Okay.
And then within the 13 colonies, you had people who were loyalists to the British and people who were for the cause.
Man.
Yeah, so you had the 13 colonies, Connecticut being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, we can't beat the best, strongest military known to man at that point with just one state. We have to unite as colonies and be one. And that's the revolution. So obviously Connecticut being one of the 13 colonies and New London being a port city, it was very strategic to the British.
I have this thought.
I mean, sure, the name is New London.
Yeah. Right.
In New England.
Right. That's true. Side note to this, do you ever have these thoughts of like, why was I born where I was born? Not like in a negative way, like why am I born? Like not like, like, oh, I wish I was born in a different circumstance, but like
geographically,
like we're born in this, like it's just
like in this place physically.
Yeah,
of course.
Like it's crazy, like why was I put in this? And again,
this
not
location.
in a negative way, not again, just like what was the purpose of me being, which I believe that everything has a purpose. Why was I put in New London, Connecticut? In not to say there has to be anything about history or anything like that, but like why? Like what? Like there's some. I believe that there was a purpose that I was put here, but why?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with New London. That just has to do with where we happen to be born in.
Right. And I say that too, like
we all have our own stories as to how we ended up here. Because as living in New York and living in Miami, people have asked me, how the hell did you family end up in New London?
Yeah.
Most people I talk to haven't even heard of Connecticut.
Yeah.
Right. So they want, how did you end up in this small little city in Connecticut? So we all have our own stories as to how we ended up in the town. But yeah, I mean, that question goes for anybody. How did anybody grow up anywhere?
Right. And just in general,
and cities,
Right. And
and how different would your life be if you grew up somewhere else? Right.
Correct. And I think about that too.
Meet and all that.
Like, just like even like, PVD talks about him being born, he's Iranian and having to live through all of that up until he was like age 11. And not just Iranian, but like, let's just say what's happening in the Middle East, Palestine, Israel, like having to be born and go through all of that's happening right now. Like why? Like it always comes to me like, what was the purpose of putting me here? Who knows? Anyway,
I'm just glad I'm born in this country. I don't take that for granted.
I do not take that and I think that's kind of where I'm getting with all of this is like reading through all of this and now understanding like how significant it is. I'm so thankful to be born here in this country and the freedoms that we have and all that. So
this is why you got to watch the documentary I told you about.
I'm going to. I started to. I didn't get bored. I just got busy.
All right, fair enough.
So the force saw action during the War of 1812 and was later used during the Civil War as the recruitment and training center. In the 20th century, it served various military purposes, including the research center for the Navy during World War II. Today, Fort Trumbull is a state park and is a symbol of New London's military history. You said that there's a community center going up there?
Yeah, there used to be a neighborhood there.
Are they wiping anything out? Like, is it going to...
What was wiped out in 2000 with the eminent domain case, yeah.
Oh,
you remember the neighborhood that was there?
So here's what so my aunt lived in a house
the Hispanic Baptist Church used to be there too.
There was a pink house, like a Victorian house. I want to see. I don't have the keyboards over there. I don't want to type on. But there was a house that was
on the corner.
So the roundabout, right? So there's the roundabout.
Which one?
So when you come up Shaw's Cove, you go, and then there's the roundabout that you go. You can go towards Pequot or you go up towards Willits, right? There was a house where those big units are now. Those big. But there was a house that was like on the land there before all those units went up. And it was a pink house. They moved that house.
Oh yeah, that's the. There's a movie that came out about the house.
She lived in it.
Your aunt?
Yeah. One of my aunts lived in the
Oh,
house.
really?
And she lived in it.
That house represented that whole era.
So where did they put the house?
They put it on. What's the street that Shiloh's on? Off of J Street.
Trumbull? Not Trumbull. Off of J. Yeah, Trumbull.
If I hear it, it's not Trumbull. If I hear it,
no. I know Hempstead.
No, it's J Street right before you go up the hill.
So
left.
you can go J Street down.
Okay, so if you're going down J Street, you're first right.
You're first right.
Yeah, that street.
Okay, I don't know. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know. That's where they put it. Is it a
That's
museum or something?
I don't know actually.
Oh,
they moved it there.
But
that house represented basically what happened to that neighborhood because Pfizer came in.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this was during
my understanding. Yeah, they wanted that land for private construction or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then so neighborhood, there was like 4 blocks that were there. Mm-hmm. So most people, they took the cash and they left, but there was like 7 families. My childhood friend, the one that you know, Andy Derry and his family, one of them, your aunt was too. There were some families that had lived there for generations and wanted to keep their houses. Mm-hmm. And the case went all the way to the Supreme Court.
Wow.
And it's a very famous case called Kelo versus the City of New London. And that case set the precedent that eminent domain says that a private company can take your land away for the good of the company if it benefits the city or whatever. Because that was the plan, was to redevelop that area by Pfizer's and bring economy, build the economy for the city. Yeah. And they gave Pfizer's 10 years tax-free if they did that. So they won the case, destroyed the whole neighborhood, and after 10 years, they left. That's how EB's in that property now.
Wow.
And that whole property's been vacant for 25 years.
Crazy.
It's completely abandoned.
It just shows going back to like how political things are when it comes to like when money comes into play.
Yeah, that was a big deal. I mean, that's such a disgrace that the city did that, for money and to boost the economy, and they didn't follow through with it. I mean, if you're gonna do that, I don't think it's awful, but at least follow through with it, which is what we're gonna do. It's been abandoned for 25 years, and now they're building a community center on it.
Yeah. So I can't remember again. So her house was either moved to or moved from. I'm gonna do some. I'm gonna ask my cousin Ariane, who would know the answer to that, because I do remember.
What do you mean moved to or from?
So I can't remember if that house that I'm talking about, because she wasn't, I can't remember if she was always there, like if she was always living there, but I remember that house really rings, like there's some vivid memories in that house.
It was on the stone. It was on stones.
I think so.
On the corner.
I just can't remember like
pink.
If it was moved one. Yeah, it was pink. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she lived there. I can't remember if to me, like something tells me in my memory, and it could be wrong, and it's probably wrong, but that house was moved several times, not just once.
It might have been. I know where it is now.
Yeah,
but it might have been because again, that they wrote a book because of that house. They made a movie because of it, and that house symbolized the neighborhood and that case that was nationwide and nationally famous case. Yeah. That house represented it.
I see.
So now it's like a landmark.
Yeah. Okay.
So they kept it. It was such a stain on the city.
That's another one that I
typical New London story.
That's another one that I want to go back and just, like I said, I want to walk around the city. What I want to get is a bike. I used to have a bike when I was like 22. I used to have a bike. I used to ride it around, but I never didn't appreciate all that stuff. I would just ride. I would ride.
Did you steal it?
No, I bought it.
Oh, okay.
I bought it from Dick's. And it's just like a nice road bike. Like it'd ride up my hill, and then I would, go all the way at the end of Ocean, come around, go up Montauk, come back up, and then just go back down to. Because you remember where I used to live with my mom, right? Mm-hmm. So we would go back there, and then I got rid of it because I just stopped riding it. But like that'd be the perfect thing to do, is just like ride and kind of just look around and see.
The city's not big, so you could ride around the city in like an hour, not even
with the bike, right?
Yeah.
All right, so home of Eugene O'Neill. Eugene O'Neill, one of America's most celebrated playwrights and Nobel laureates. I don't know how to pronounce that. Spent much of his youth in New London. His experience in the area deeply influenced his work, which often explored themes of family conflict, personal tragedy, and the struggles of life. O'Neill's Summer Home in New London Monte Cristo Cottage is now a museum dedicated to his life and work. Plays like Long Days, Journey into Night, and said to be inspired by his experiences in London. Is that the Monte Cristo Cottage right there where Harkness Park is?
Yeah.
That's where it is.
In
Have you been in
Waterford,
it?
yeah. No.
No. Interesting. I don't know much about Eugene O'Neill. I just know the name.
I just know his famous quote when he said, "Success is a stale finale." I know he wrote that.
Man, we still have a lot of history. Anyway, so couple more. We'll wrap up. EB in submarine history. We talked about it. Groton, just across the Thames River from New London, is home of EB Corporation Electric Boat, a division of General Dynamics. Founded in 1899, Electric Boat has been at the forefront of submarine design and construction, building many of the United States Navy's submarines, including the first nuclear-powered submarine.
Which is now a museum, which you should go to in Groton.
I've never been there.
It's called the Nautilus.
So the USS Nautilus.
Yeah.
I feel like I have been there probably when I was younger.
School, school trip.
But I don't remember. I would probably. I feel like I should bring my kid.
You definitely bring your kid.
I should bring my kid. He would like that. He would love that. Yeah. The area's deep ties to submarine development have earned its nickname, the submarine capital of the world. I see that every time I go to the bowling alley. The little thing on the right. The Battle of Groton Heights. So this is 9 out of 10, and then 10 will wrap up.
That's the one on Fort Griswold we just mentioned.
Yep. Yeah. The Battle of Groton Heights occurred on September 6th. Oh, we're coming up here on an anniversary. 1781, when the British forces under the command of Benedict Arnold attacked Fort Griswold in Groton across the river from New London. Arnold, who had defected to the British. I know. Why did he defect? That's what I want to know. Do you know why he defected?
I do know why he defected, yeah. Because he felt like he wasn't getting recognition for all the battles that he had won for the colonists. And he wasn't getting the love he deserved, and the British offered him something else, and he took it. Felt he wasn't being appreciated.
Son of a biscuit. Arnold, who had defected to the British, led the assault as part of the raid on New London and Groton, resulting in the burning of much of New London and the bloody battle at the fort. The British eventually captured Fort Griswold, but the event is remembered for the bravery of the local defenders and the significant losses of both sides. And then the final one is the hygienic. I didn't realize the hygienic is that historic as well.
I didn't either.
The Hygienic Art Gallery. It's not that. It's not that historic. It's 10 years older than me. The Hygienic. The Hygienic Art Gallery is a non-profit art gallery and culture center in New London, known for its roots in the uncultural and uncensored art movements. That's funny. I didn't realize that that's what it was known for. That's why.
On what? Uncultural?
Countercultural and uncensored art movement. So it makes sense why Rosie does her stuff there.
Yeah. And why the wall has the naked ladies on it.
Yeah. Founded in 1979, it was originally located in the former Hygienic Restaurant, a local institution. The gallery became famous for hosting the annual Salon des Independents. Independence show where the artists could display their work without censorship or jury selection. This ethos of creative freedom and community engagement has made the Hygienic Art Gallery a cornerstone of New London's vibrant art scene. I've only been to that place once.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I've been there more than once. And I don't even think it was
the park or the building itself.
The Hygienic?
Yeah,
like inside the little gates.
That's the park.
That's the
park.
park.
And there's a building that's at the corner.
Yeah, right in the left, right? I don't even think I've been inside the building.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so we'll wrap up with this. Looking forward to I think we had pretty good flow for the most part. There's more preparedness that has to go into what we're trying to accomplish. But I do think the idea of a spin-off show to kind of just talk about things is going to be fun. So we'll wrap up there. David Cruz, anything you got? Anything good?
No, I enjoyed it. Looking forward to future shows and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
See where it goes.
Let's go. All right, bro.
All right.